Guys, welcome to the webinar on core modules. We'll be looking at few core modules today. So we'll see what are the settings that we should be doing about the human resource module. So how we can admit the employees, how we can set their leaves and the generation and approval of payslips. We'll look at how we can admit the students using the admission form. We'll see how we can set up the timetable in FIDINA. We'll see how we can mark the attendance of the students and how we can create events or declare holidays in the calendar. So let's start with all these core modules, but before that we should know who all can log in into FIDINA. So there are four kind of roles that we will see who can log in into FIDINA. The first one is the admin. Admin has all the privileges. He can do all the settings, create the students and the employees, set up the timetable. Then we have the employees who are the teachers or the faculty or administration staff, finance staff, any staff of your institute. Then we have the students and the parent of the students. So these are the four kind of logins that you will find in FIDINA. For the first time, admin must log in into FIDINA. So here I have opened the FIDINA school URL, and here I'll be giving the username to be admin and password to be admin123 for the first time. So I'm logging in using that, and the screen that I see here is known as the dashboard of the admin. So every box here tells you something about your institute as per the data that you've entered. For example, I can see who all employees are on leave today, what all events are created, which all students are absent, and so on. I can manage this information that I want to see on the dashboard by going to Manage Dashlets here. So here I can choose to see what all information I want to see, and I can uncheck the ones that I do not want to appear in the first screen after I log in. So this is how we can manage our dashboard. Now let's see how we can do the settings. So we will go to administration and settings here. So here we should be doing all the settings before we start entering the employees or the students. So the first setting that we should be doing is the general settings. Here we should tell FIDINA about our institute. So we should give the name of the school or the higher education institute, the address and the phone number. We can select the type of institute to be K-12 or higher education. K-12 is starting kindergarten till class 12 or grade 12. Higher education is when you have semester courses. The difference would be that when you select K-12, wherever you see the term course, it will be replaced by class. So if I am selecting the institute type to be K-12, I will see the term course in FIDINA to be replaced by the term class. So that would mean when you create courses, it would be generally grade 1, grade 2 and so on, or standard 1, standard 2 and so on, or class 1 and so on. So that would be for K-12. If you're a higher education, the term course will be equivalent to your program. So that is when you are higher education. So you can select either from here. Then you can select the attendance type, which can be daily, which means it can be marked once in a day, or it can be based on the timetable. So that is subject wise. Then the start day of the week can be selected from here. The date format can be selected and also the separator of the date format. The fiscal year of the institute can be selected from here. This is the duration within which you will issue the salaries or collect the fees. So that is the financial year start and the end date of your institute. Now, whenever you are going to generate an income using FIDINA, you will be giving receipt to the corresponding student or the parent of the student. On that receipt, there will be a number, a unique number that will appear. So as per how you want the number to appear, you can mention the starting receipt number here. And the subsequent receipt number will be auto-incremented. You can select the language, the time zone, the country, and the currency type from here. Now after decimal, how many digits you want to see is the precision count. So in the finance report, I want to see 2 digits after decimal, so I can mention the precision count to be 2 or it can be more. You can upload the logo of your institute from here and you can select the grading system. So FIDINA will support 4 grading systems along with the normal grading system. Normal grading system is equivalent to having averages and percentages in the final report card for the examination. So if you do not select anything from here, that would mean the normal grading system. Otherwise, as per your selection, you have to do extra settings in the examination module. Then we have an admission form for the student where for the first time we have to enter the admission number. If you want that for the subsequent times the admission number should be auto-incremented, you can check this option. For example, if we give the admission number as user 001 for the first student, for the next student onwards, the admission number will be user 002, 003 and so on. So if you want that auto increment to happen automatically, you can check this. Similarly for the employee also. Now there is a news module in FIDINA where the employees will be able to comment. So news module is equivalent to the bulletin board of the school. Now once the employee is commenting, if you want the comment to appear for all the other users, you can check this option. In that case, the comment has to be approved by you or by the admin before it is shown to the other users. So it has to be moderated. If you want that the parent of students who are studying in the same school in your FIDINA to have only single login. So if a parent is having 2 children who are studying in your institute and you want to give to the parent a single login to access both his children's profiles, you can check this option. So that would relate the 2 students and give the parent a single login. Now by default, for the students and the employees, they would be given a password which will be admission number followed by 123. If you want that, they should be able to change their password when they log in and their FIDINA for the first time. You can check this option from here. Now admission number is unique number that is given to each student in FIDINA, irrespective of what batch or what course is he studying in. You also have a feature of roll number. Roll number is a number which is unique for each student only within a batch. That means that 2 students can have same roll number in different batches. So if you want to give them a unique number within a batch, you can check this option from here. So besides having admission number, the students will also have a roll number associated to them. So once we have done these general settings, we can save them. And now the next step is to create courses and batches. So here I will go to Manage Course Batch and Manage Course. So here we have to create the courses or the classes as per our institute's requirement. So now if you are a school, the courses would be generally, as I said, class 1, class 2 and so on. Or some schools also use grade 1, grade 2 or standard 1, standard 2. So these would be the courses, and in each course, so let's say we have grade 1 as a course. In each course you will have batches. A batch is equivalent to a group of students who follow the same timetable. So this can also be called as a section. For example, in grade 1, I might have a 2015-2016 session, B 2015-2016 session and so on. So these would be the batches inside grade 1. So like this, I'll be creating inside grade 2, grade 3, grade 4 and so on. If you're a higher education, the course would be something like this and followed by the semester. So this would be the course. So similarly, I would have other courses which would again be followed by the semester like this. So these would be the courses, and in each course you will again have batches. So again the batch would be group of students in semester 1 who follow the same timetable. So that would mean, let's say we are talking about semester 1. So this course. So in this course, the batch would be A 2015-2016. It can be B 2015-2016. Also, a previous year batch might also be there. So that would be denoted by A 2014-2015. So like this, for semester 1, you will have many courses, many batches that will be running. Similarly, for semester 2, also you will have different courses. So this is how we have to create the courses. Let me show you that. So if you are a school, you will see that this is how they will appear. So I have created in form of classes. You can also use grade instead of class. If you are a higher education, this is how it has to be created. So let me show you how I have created this. So I will give the name here. So let's say grade 2. Now do not give anything in section name. As I said, a batch is equivalent to a section, which is a group of students who follow the same timetable. Give the code, which is a short form for this course. Select the grading system. If you want the students of this course to be able to select their own subjects, you can check this option. And also give the batch details. So the group of students in grade 2. So let's say that is A 2015-2016, denoting the academic year. Then you can select the start and the end date of this batch under grade 2. So this is how we can create the course. And now you will see that the course gets created. So I will have grade 2 like this. And when I click on it, I'll be able to see the initial batch inside it. Right now, this batch is empty. It does not have any students or subjects or timetable. So we will be creating that for this batch now. So like this, we can create for higher education as well. So here I'll be giving like this. And I'll give this section name to be the semester name, like this. So in case you're a higher education, you can use the section name option to fill in the semester. If you do not find this comfortable, you can also mention the semester name with the course name and leave the section name blank. Again, you can mention the code, which is a short form for the course name. You can select the grading system. You can enable the elective selection and also mention the batch details. So like this, once you create it, it will appear here. And when you click on it, you will be able to see the batch that you just created. Before creating other batches inside a course, we must enter the subjects so that we can copy the subjects instead of creating individually for the rest of the batches. So I'll go to Manage Subjects, select the batch. So this is the batch that I just created, and I can add subjects to it. So I can add normal subjects. Normal subjects are the mandatory subjects. So I'll click on Add Normal Subject, and here I'll give the mandatory subject of this batch. Maximum weekly classes are the maximum number of periods that will happen for this subject in a week. So as per the timetable, you have to mention the maximum weekly classes here. For example, currently I'm making it 5. And if there is no exam that you want to conduct for this subject, you can check that option of no exam. So like this, I am entering other subject as well. So we can enter the normal or the mandatory subjects in this manner. Then we can also enter the elective subjects. So elective subjects are the optional subjects. To enter them, we first have to create an elective group. So for example, I am creating an elective group called Games. And inside this elective group, I will add the subjects which are options for the students. So I can enter one or more subjects, and the students can be put in either of these subjects or all of them. So we have this option of assigning student. So as a FEDINA administrator, I can assign students for each of these subjects. If we have given the option of enable elective selection, then even the student gets an option to assign himself for these subjects when he logs in his FEDINA. So now let's see how the structure of the subjects will look like. So when I go to Manage Subjects and select that batch for which I just entered the subjects, I have 2 mandatory subjects and 1 elective group which is having 2 optional subjects. So now we can create another batch. So I'm going to Manage Course and the grade 02 batch that I just created. So I'll click on New here to be able to create another group of students, and I'll give it a name like B 2015-2016, and I'll check this option of importing previous batch subject so that the same subjects get copied. So now if you see the structure for this second batch that I've just created, which is G02B 2015-16, it looks like this. So the same subjects are copied, although I can edit the subjects if I want to. So this is how we can create courses and batches and enter subjects for them. Now the next step would be to do the settings before we start entering the students. So let's see some of those settings. The first one is we have to create the categories of the students. Now the student category should be created based on how we want to give them discounts in the fee section. For example, if you want to give discount to the staff children, I will create a student category called staff child here and save it. And when I admit a student, it will ask me to put that student in one of the categories that I've already created. So like this, I've created 3 other categories, and when I admit a student, it will ask me to put the student in one of these 4 categories that I've created. So I will show you that when we admit the student. In the fee section, to each student category that we've created, we'll be able to create discounts for these categories. We can also create fees which are particular to these categories. The next information that we have to create is the additional details of the student. So we have this option of add admission additional details, which is creating of custom fields when we start entering the student. For example, if we want to take the height information of the student, I will create a field called height, and we can make this mandatory as well. And how we want it to be inputted has to be selected from here. So in the form of a text box or a text area, a drop down or a check box. So we can select either of these options. So like this, I have created some fields here which will appear when I admit the student now. So once we have done these settings, we can also set up the SMS module before we start admitting the students or the employees. But before using the SMS module from here, we must do settings related to SMS in our accounts panel. Accounts panel is a place where you have created your school. So when you go to accounts.fedina.com, you will enter your username and password and get this screen. And this is where you might have created your school. To do the SMS settings or even the email settings, you have to click on the name of the school that you created and go to SMS setting option here. And click on add. And here, as per the credentials that are given to you by the SMS provider, you have to enter the details here. So the username, the password as per your account with the SMS provider, the sender name, the URL and the success code that is used by the SMS provider must be mentioned here. Once you've done these settings, you have to come to this option of SMS module and enable the SMS alert settings for your Fedina. So I'll go to SMS module and go to SMS settings, and for the first time if you see, the application option will be disabled. So you have to check this and update it. Once you update it, you will get these options that will come up. So the first 5 options that you see here, this is where automatic SMS alert is sent to the parents and the students. So whenever the student is admitted, automatic SMS is sent with the credentials of the login of the student. Whenever an exam is scheduled or the result is published. Whenever a student is absent, an event is created or a fee payment is made, automatic SMS is sent. For the last 2 options, you can send manual SMS as well. If you uncheck this option of send SMS to parents, parents will not be getting the automatic SMS that you send from here. So once you've updated or saved these SMS settings, you can send manual SMS to students, to batch of students, to the employees, to Department of Employees, or you can even broadcast a message from here to all the users of FREEDA. You can view the SMS logs, so which all SMS was sent and on what date can be seen from here. On clicking on it, you will be able to see further details, whether it was sent successfully or not. So this is how we can do the SMS settings. Before doing the roll number settings, it is suggested that you enter the students in FEDINA first. Then we can assign them roll numbers which are auto-generated instead of giving them roll numbers to each and every student. So let's see that. Let's enter the students now. We will go to students and student admission here. So this is where we get the admission form for the student. So this admission form will be available to the FEDINA administrator, and FEDINA administrator has to enter it. Not only the FEDINA administrator, but the employee with student admission privilege will also be able to see this form and do these submissions. So here the admission number will come auto incremented if we have checked that option of enable auto increment. If you're using FEDINA for the first time and you've opened this admission form, admission number will come blank. So you can give admission number which can be alphanumeric, but the special character that is allowed is only underscore. So right now I am giving a simple admission number. I can select the admission date, that can be the past date, current date or the future date. I can give the first name, I can select the other details. So you can see it is asking to which category does the student belong to, and it is not a mandatory field. So if I want to give the student discounts based on his category, I can put the student in a particular category that I just created. And later on in the fee section, I'll be able to give him discounts. I can select the course details of the student. So I'm putting the student in grade 2 and A batch. I can also choose to assign roll number here, or I can later on manage the roll number in the settings option. So after I have admitted all the students, the roll number will be automatically given to them by auto generation. So you can skip this step. You can choose to upload the student's photo from here. Then you can relate the student to another student who is already in FEDINA. That would give the parent only one login and not multiple logins for his children. But if you're entering the student for the first time in FEDINA, you can skip this and create the parent details so that parent login is also created. So I'm entering the parent details here, and this will allow FEDINA to create parent details as well. Parent login in FEDINA as well. We can add one or more guardians from here, and one of the guardians will be able to log in FEDINA. So which one out of the guardians that you've created you can choose from here. You can enter the previous institute educational details of the student. So if the student is coming to grade 3 from grade 2, and earlier he was in school A, we can enter those details here. So the year in which he passed, the total marks that he obtained. We can enter the additional details. So these are the details that I created. So these values can be entered. So these are the custom fields. So as per your requirement, you can create these custom fields. And once you've done that, the profile of the student gets created. So this is the student profile, and you can see the parent login is also created. So this is the username of the parent. And the student will be able to log in using his username, which is the admission number. So user 114, and the password would be user 114 followed by 123. Since he is logging in for the first time, he is asked to change his password because we have done that setting. As a student, I can see my academics, which shows me the examination related reports. So the recent exams that have happened, the subject-wise examination data, the final report, and the transcript report. I can also see the attendance details. So whenever the student is absent, the details will be shown here. He can see the calendar, so the academic calendar. Whenever a holiday is marked by the admin, it appears in this calendar. All the examinations will also be coming, the events as created by the admin, and the library fine, the library book, or the fees due will also be coming. So that automatically comes up as per how it is created by the admin. He can view his profile. So he gets an option to view the profile. He can also view the news. So that is anything that is published by the administrator for the information of the students and the teachers. He can view his timetable. So this is about how the student can log in. This is the reminder system where he can view the reminders. So since for this student we have enabled elective selection, he gets an option to choose his own subject. So this is how he will get an option, and he can go to his profile and he can see the subjects and he can choose the elective that he wants from here. This option will not come to the student if you enable elective option when you create the course. The parent of the student can also log in. So here I am logging in as a parent now. So this is the username of the parent. And again, since the parent is logging in for the first time, he will change his password. And as a parent, I can view the same details as the student was able to view. If I have multiple wards studying in the same institute, so let me log in as another parent for whom I have related the siblings. So this parent can switch between the profile of any of his children. So if I switch between the profile, I'll be able to see the details here of that student which I have just selected. So the view changes as per the student that you are selecting from here. So this is how the parents of the students can log in. So now let's see how we can admit the employees. So we will go to this module under administration, which is human resource. And before we start admitting employees, we have to do some settings. So we will go to setting and we have to categorize the employees into some categories. We have to give position to each employee in the category. We have to add the department of the employee, add the grade of the employee, add the deductions and the earnings which appear in the payslip of the employee, the bank details and the custom fields for the employees. So let's start by adding the categories of the employees. So here we can give the name of the category. For example, teaching staff can be one of the categories. We can give a prefix, which is a short form, a denotation, representation of this category. So like this, I have created some categories which are teaching, HR, contract, admissions, finance, and so on. Inside each category, we should create a position. For example, in the teaching category that I just created, I can create a position called junior. So that is a position that I can assign to an employee who I am admitting. So in the same way, I can create another position called professor or assistant teacher. So this can be one of the positions, and we can also have another one as head teacher. So like this, there should be at least one position in each category that you have created, because position is a mandatory field when you admit an employee. So we must put an employee in a position, in a category, and in a department. So the next setting is adding the department of the employee. So here we can create the departments based on the subjects like I've already created. So you just have to give the name of the department, the code associated to it. Or you can also create generic departments. For example, you can have academics as a department. Another department can be sports or arts and so on. So there can be departments that are specific to the subjects or generic. So as I said, the three settings are important and mandatory when we admit our employee, which is category, position, and the department. The other settings are optional, so let's see them now. We can add the grade of the employee. Grade of the employee denotes how many periods the employee should be taking in a day and in a week. So based on the timetable of the employee, we can assign him periods. And the number of such periods that he should be taking in a week must be mentioned here. For example, I have created a grade called grade 1, and here grade 1 employees should be taking 1 period in a day and 4 periods in a week. So you can give this as per your requirement, and now when I admit an employee, I can put him in this grade or any other grade that I have created, and after creating the timetable of that employee, I'll be able to see whether he's taking the right number of classes or periods or not. So I can see the work allotment related to each teacher. And this feature of employee grade is applicable to the teachers, to the teaching department only. So we can track the number of periods that they are taking or can take. So like this, I have created another grade as well. So I can create grades and I can assign the same when I admit the employee. The other option here is payroll category of the employee. So the payroll category is the earnings and the deductions that you see in the pay slip of the employee. So the earnings, you have to create those categories here. For example, I can create a category name called, let's say, basic salary. And basic salary is a category. It is a fixed component, so I am not mentioning anything in percentage or percentage off. So like this, I'll be creating another category called, let's say, ABC, which is also an earning, but it is a dependent earning. So I can say, let's say it is 2% of basic salary. So I can create here. Now I can create another category, which is again, let's say 5% of basic salary. If it is a deduction, I can check this option of is deduction. So like this, as per my requirements, I have created some earnings and some deductions. Some of them are dependent on basic salary. And now when I admit an employee, it will ask me the value against the basic salary for that employee, and the other fields will get populated automatically if they are dependent on basic salary. So we will see that when we admit the employee. There can be some category which is not applicable to all the employees. In that case, we can mention that category value to be 0 for the employee when we admit the employee. And that category will not at all appear in the payslip when we generate the payslip for that employee. Then we can enter the bank details of the employee. So this is for keeping records. So again, we are creating fields. The value against these fields will be asked when I admit an employee, and it will be saved in the profile of the employee. Then the additional details or the custom fields. So similar to what we did for student, we can create custom fields, and these fields values will be asked when I admit the employee. So now since we are done with the settings, we can add an employee by going to employee management and employee admission. So this is where we get the employee admission form. Again, the employee number, if you're admitting employee for the first time in FEDINA, it will be coming as E1. Otherwise, if you have enabled the auto increment option, it will come as the auto incremented from the last employee number. You can again edit it. You can edit the first employee number as well, which was E1. So this field is editable. You can edit as per the requirement, but using this employee number, the employees will be able to log in FEDINA. So employee number is the username for the employee to be able to log in FEDINA. Again, employee number can be alphanumeric. Only special character that is allowed is the underscore. We can select the joining date from here. Again, it can be previous date, current date, or the future date. We can give the first name and the other details related to the employee. And you can see that it asks for the department, category, and the position of the employee. So as per what department does the employee belong to, I can put that employee in a department, assign him the category. So if he's a teacher, I'll be selecting the teaching category, and accordingly the positions that I created in teaching category will appear, and I can assign the position to this employee. I can select the grade of the employee from here. So as per, if this employee is a teacher, how many periods this employee should be working. So that I have already defined in the grade, so I can select that grade. I can mention the job title, qualification, and the experience related information from here. I can upload the photo of this employee as well. So the office address, the home address of this employee can also be entered, the bank details, and also the additional details. So these are the additional custom fields that we've created. And now we have to assign privileges for this employee. Privileges is based on the role of this employee, what all he should be able to do when he logs in his FEDINA. So let's say the employee that I am admitting takes care of student admission. So he should be able to see the admission form and enter the data for each student. So I can check this option of student admission. So I can select multiple options here based on the role of the employee. So for finance as well, If the employee you're admitting takes care of collection of fees, you can check this option of fee submission. So the employee will be able to collect the fees. So for now, for this employee that I am admitting, I am enabling the option of student admission. I can assign the manager of this employee. Manager is another employee in FIDINA who will be approving the leaves as put by this employee. So the managers should be put in first. So you can search them here and assign them like this. So search by the employee ID or the name and assign this employee for the employee that you are entering to be the manager. Now, as per the payroll categories that you've created, the earnings and the deductions will come up here automatically. You have to give the value for the fixed components and the dependent components will automatically get filled in. So I have 4 dependent components on the basic salary, so they've got filled in, and the other components can be entered. If there is a component that is not applicable to this employee that you're admitting, you can mention 0 for that component. So here, the profile of this employee gets created like this. And this employee will be able to log in using his employee ID, that is E112, and the password will be E112 followed by 123. And again, he'll be asked to change his password. Since he is logging in for the first time. And as an employee, I can view the calendar, so the academic calendar of the school. I can apply for leaves, so this is that option. I can view my profile. And I can view the news as published by the admin. And also I get an option of student admission. This is because this privilege was enabled by the employee, by the admin, when this employee was admitted. So as per the privileges that are enabled during the admission of the employee will be able to do the same in his login. So I can go to student admission and admit the students because I have got that privilege as an employee. So I am logging in back as administrator, and now let's see how we can create the leaves of the employees. So we will go to add leave types to add the types of leaves which can be availed by the employees. And to add the leave, I'll be giving the name of the leave, the code associated with the leave, and how many such type of leaves are allowed. So the maximum leave count. And if you want to enable the carry forward option, meaning that if the employee has taken 1 leave out of 3, if you want to carry forward the 2 left leaves to the next duration, you can check this option of enable carry forward. So like this, you can add all the type of leaves that you want to give to the employee, or the employee can avail any of these leaves. Now the duration within which these leaves are allowed has to be set separately. So we will go back to employee leave management and this option reset leaves. Here we will go to leave reset settings, and here we will give the duration. So this is the leave reset periods or the duration within which those leaves that you've just added are applicable. So within the duration of 4 months, 3 sick leaves are allowed or 2 casual leaves are allowed, and so on. as per the leave types that you have created. So all the leave types will have the same duration. Now after this duration is complete, if you want the leave maximum count to be automatically resetted for the employees, you can check this option. It means after 4 months, the employees will again get maximum count of each leave type. If you want to manually reset it, you can follow these options of reset all, where you can reset for all the employees, you can reset it for a department of employees or for a single employee at any point. So this is how we can do the leave settings. Now for the employee to be able to apply for leave, I am logging in as an employee and I will go to the leave application form, which is under academics. And here I can select the type of leave that I want to avail. I can also take it as a half day, denoting that 0.5 of the leave would be deducted instead of 1 full day. I can mention the start date and the end date of the duration of the leave if it is not a half day and if it is more than a day. I can mention the reason and create this leave application, and this leave application will go to the manager of the employee. So I have assigned this person as the manager of the employee and I will log in as this employee now, who is the manager, and this employee will be able to see the leave application on his dashboard in this dashlet. So under leave applications, I can see the applied leaves and the names of the employees who have applied will be coming. On clicking on the name of the employee, I'll be able to see the further details. So I can approve this leave or deny it. And once the leave is approved, it can also be tracked by the FEDINA administrator. So I have logged in back as the administrator and I am going to employee leave management and the attendance register. So this is where I can see for this department or for a particular department, the employee name appears and it denotes by this sign. So whenever you see a blank cell in FEDINA, that denotes that the employee or the student is present. And whenever you see this sign, it denotes for the employee that he's taken a leave and the leave has been approved. The highlighted column here denotes the current date. We can also see the attendance report, which shows for a particular duration for all the employees, let's say for a particular duration, the leaves that the employees have taken. So it shows like this, all the employees and the leaves that they have taken and the total number. So it shows the leave types here. These are the codes of the leaves that I have given. And it shows how many are availed by which employee in this duration that I have selected. This report can also be get into an Excel sheet or a PDF report. So this is about managing the leaves of the employees. Now let's see how we can generate the payslip. So currently we can generate the payslip for each month for the employees. So it is monthly generation. So we will go to create payslip and we can generate the payslip in two ways. It can be in one clip for a particular month for all the employees together. Or it can be by selecting each employee. So one-click payslip generator gives an option to you to select the date which is the month for which you want to generate the payslip for all the employees. So once you generate it using one-click payslip generator, it will take all the details as you have filled in when you enter the employee. So all the payroll category figures, and it will generate it. You will not get an option to edit any category for any employee. If you want to edit any category or add loss of pay or bonus or any such details for any employee, you have to use the second option, which is selecting each employee. So this is the employee that I just added. I am selecting it, and you can see that the details, the payroll details of the employee will now be seen. So any of these details can be edited, and also individual category for this employee can be added. So any category that is applicable only to this employee and not to other employees can be added like this. And this category can be an earning or a deduction. So like this, I can generate the payslip of each employee for the particular month. Approval of payslip will be done by another person who belongs to finance. So that person has to go to administration, finance, and payslip. This is where again he can approve in a single click, or he can view the payslip and then approve it. So I'm selecting the month, and it will show all the payslips which are generated, and the status of the payslip for the first time would be pending. Click on view to view further details. So it shows all these details as generated by the HR person, and these can be approved or rejected. If we reject it, the HR has to again generate the payslip with the correct details. So we can mention the proper reason, because the HR can see this reason and accordingly act. So we'll go to human resource and create payslip, go to rejected employee payslip. So this is the option where we can see the payslips that are rejected, and we'll get an option to edit this payslip that is just rejected. So we can see the reason as it is put by the HR, by the finance person. And here we can edit any field as per the comment, and we can generate the payslip again. And now it can be again approved or rejected by the person who is approving or rejecting the payslip in the finance department. And all the status of the payslip can be seen when we go to HR and view payslip. So this is for a particular month. I can view all the payslips and whether they are approved or pending. So all the employees come here. The total salary, the approved salary is shown. We can also view the payslip of any employee by clicking on view. Once the payslip is approved, it can also be seen in the profile of the employee. So when I log in as this employee for whom I just approved the payslip, he can go to salary. Under salary, he has this option of payslip. When he goes to his profile, he can select the month and view his payslip and get it as a PDF report also. So this is the view as it will appear for the employee when he logs in. So we have seen how to do the settings. We have seen how we can admit the employees, generate their payslips, and set leaves for them. We have seen how we can admit the students. Now let's see how we can generate the timetable of the student. So we will be going to academics and timetable. And here the first step is to manage the class timing set. So you will see for the first time you will get default as the class timing set only. You can click on view class timings in front of it and you will get an option to add class timing here. When you click on that option, you will get this pop-up which will ask you to enter the name of the class timing like period 1, period 2 and so on, the duration along with the timings of this period. So you can enter the start time and the end time as per the duration of the period. So like this you can enter the class timings for default. So like this you can enter all the periods. If it is a break that you want to say, you can check this option of either break. So during this period you will not be able to assign teachers to the period. So like this you can set the default class timing set. If there is a deviation from the default class timing set for any batch, you can create that class timing set as well by going to new. So you can create multiple class timing sets. For example, I've created class timing for grade 3. That means this class timing will be followed only by grade 3. Class timing for grade 4, grade 5 and so on. So if your school or the institute follows same class timings for all the batches, you can change the default one itself. Otherwise, you can create separate class timings for each batch. Now to assign these class timings to the classes, you will go to this option of set weekdays and class timing sets. And here select the course, so which is grade 2. Select the batch and you will see that by default it will show default with the class timing. So it will come like this. Monday to Friday will be automatically checked as weekdays and the default class timing set will be default. If this batch is not following the default class timing set, you can change it from here. So let me take a scenario. From Monday to Friday, this batch follows 9 AM to 4:45 as the class timing set which I have already given in default. So I am not changing default here. But on Saturday also this class works. This batch is working on Saturday and the class timing set is not 9 AM to 4:45 PM. Instead, it is something else which I have already created, which is, let's say, Saturday class timing. So I can assign different class timing for each day or same for other days and different for another day. So it can be done in any way and accordingly the timetable of this batch will appear. This setting must be done before you start creating the timetable. After you have created the timetable and if you try to change it, the changes will not be reflected. So the settings have to be done before we start creating the timetable. So once I've saved this setting, I'll have to create a timetable by going to this option of create timetable. So here I'll go to create timetable and I can select the duration of the timetable, which can be a week, 15 days or any number of days. And that has to be decided based on whether the timetable is repeated for every week. For example, on Monday, there are 3 periods that happen And on next Monday, the same 3 periods will again take place. So if this will repeat, you have to mention that duration here. So for now, I am creating a timetable, let's say for 10 days. And within this duration, I can create timetable for each of the batch. So for these 10 days, I'll be selecting the batch. And you can see from Monday to Friday, the default class timing set is applied. That is why it is 9 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. And for Saturday, the class timing is different because I have assigned a different one. So this is how the timetable will appear as per the class timing that you have assigned for each batch. Now before we start adding employees to each slot, we have to do employee subject association. So here we will go to employee subject association. This is assigning the teachers to the subjects that they will be taking in a batch. So I will select the batch, which is grade 2, select the subject and assign the teacher by choosing the subject. So like this. I can assign multiple teachers to one subject also. So this has to be done for each subject of this batch. And this will give me an option to allocate these teachers in the timetable. So once I have done employee subject association, I can select the batch and you will see that at the bottom it asks me to select a subject, and as per the employee subject association, the employees will come up who I have assigned to take mathematics in this batch. I have assigned 2 employees. To assign these employees, I have to select the slots when mathematics will happen and check the name of the employee and click on assign. So you will see that in the timetable, the employee gets assigned in that particular duration that you have checked. So like this, the timetable should be filled in for all the subjects. To assign different teachers, you can select the slots like this. So let's say these 4 slots will be taken by one teacher, so I can assign them. And the other 4 slots will be taken by a different teacher, so I can assign that as well. So the timetable will start appearing like this. So we have to fill in the slots of this timetable. We can also assign elective subjects. So by selecting, so it shows the employees and the optional subjects. And we can also take a printout of this timetable that we've created by going to this option of view timetable. So by selecting that batch that we've just created the timetable for, we can get this timetable in the form of a PDF or an Excel sheet. We can also view the teacher timetable. That is, which teacher is taking which subject and in which batch. It shows the days and the teachers who I have assigned like this. The teacher and the student will also be able to see their own timetable when they log in into their FIDINA. So we have seen that when I log in as a teacher or an employee or a student, I get an option to see the timetable under academics. So the same timetable that we've just created will be appearing for the teacher as well as for the student. We can also see work allotment, which shows the number of periods the teacher is taking. So you can see on the right hand side, the table appears which shows 3 terms which is remaining, deficit or OK. So let's understand these 3 terms. So OK would denote that the teacher is taking the right number of classes as per her grade and as per the subjects that we've assigned her. Remaining would mean that the teacher can take those many more periods, and deficit would mean that the teacher is overworking by taking those many extra periods. So let's say we've assigned grade 2 to an employee E1. That means that this employee can take 8 periods in a week. So this is what we have set in grade 2. And then we assign this employee using employee subject association. We assign this employee to mathematics subject and to science subject of some batch. And in mathematics, we give 4 maximum periods in a week. And in science also, let's say we give 4 maximum periods in a week. So if we see this, we can say that E1 employee is taking the right number of periods, and hence OK will be appearing in front of his name here. For example, for this employee, OK is appearing in front of his name. Similarly, we can calculate for other employees, and it automatically appears here as per the employee subject association that you have done and as per the timetable that you have just created and assigned the employee to. Here you can also use this option to assign the employees instead of using employee subject association. So all the batches will come up here and you can select the employee against each subject. So this is about work allotment. We can see the institute's timetable. So for all the batches for which we've created the timetable, we can see the subjects, the timings, and which teacher is taking the class, and also for each batch we will be able to get this detail. Since I've done it only for one batch, I've created the timetable and set up the employees only for one batch, so it shows me only one batch details and it shows no timetable entry for other batches. But once we've completed the timetable setting for all the batches, it will appear for all the batches here, and we can check the timetable data not only for today but also for a next coming date. We can see the timetable tracker where we can substitute or replace a teacher who was scheduled to take a session with another teacher. So we can go to swap timetable, select the batch, and the timetable will appear like this. So as per this date, the timetable appears. And let's say Flynn, who was supposed to take mathematics, who was assigned to take mathematics, will not be able to take it. So we can change this teacher to another teacher like this. So this substitution, the changes, we can see when we go to swapped timetable report like this. So we can also see it for a particular duration and get it into an Excel sheet. It shows the replacement status to be 1 minus, which denotes that this employee has taken 1 less period as per his work allotment. And this employee has taken one more period as per his work allotment. So we can see these details. We have classroom allocation, where we can create and set the buildings first and then assign the batches to the classrooms. So we will go to add building to be able to add a building. So we will give the name of the buildings, and inside this building I'll be able to add rooms. So when I click on the name, I'll get an option to add room, and when I add a room, it will ask me the name of the room and the capacity of students the room can take in. So once we have done with these settings, we can go to allocate and allocate the batches weekly. That would mean for the duration of the timetable, the classroom allocation will also repeat. So all the Mondays, the students will study in the same class, the Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and so on as per the working days of the batch. For example, for this batch, for the building that I am selecting, the rooms that I created will appear. And let's say mathematics will happen in C1, so I can drag and drop C1 room onto mathematics and I can allocate it. So like this, I have to do this for all the subjects on Monday, on Tuesday, till the working day of this batch. So till the last working day, I will do all the allocations. And once the allocations are done, the student will be able to see which classroom he has to go to on a particular date. So you can assign this only once and it will repeat throughout the duration that you have given here. It means for all the Mondays, mathematics will happen in C1 and so on. So like this, we can do the classroom allocation as well. So this is how we can create and set up the timetable for a batch. Now let's see how we can mark the attendance of the student. So to mark the attendance, we will go to academics and we have this option of attendance where we get the attendance register. So I'll select the batch for which I want to mark the attendance, and this is how the attendance register will appear. So here, as I said, even for the employee, a blank cell would denote that the employee or the student is present. So by default, all the employees and the students are present. If we have to mark them absent, we have to come to the register for the students and mark them absent. For the employee, when the employee applies for leave and it gets approved, it will automatically be marked as absent. So now let's see this student. He is absent for today. So the highlighted one denotes the current date. We will click on the cell, mention the reason why the student is absent and whether he is absent for first half of the day or the second half of the day can be selected from here. So we can add this option and you will see that this cell gets denoted by the same sign as it was for the employee when he was absent. We can mark a student absent even for a previous date. So like this. So this is for a previous date. In case you want to bypass the option of entering reason every time, you can check this option of rapid attendance. So when you are taking the attendance, you just have to click on the cell if the student is absent. And it is not asking for reason now. although you can enter the reason at a later stage by clicking on the same cell again. If you mark this student absent by mistake, you can also delete it from here. We can also check the report by going to attendance report, and here selecting a batch, and for a particular month or overall we can see the attendance details. So it shows the total number of working days and how much the student has attended, and hence the percentage. We can also filter this list to get the students as per their attendance percentage and get that into a PDF or an Excel sheet report. So this is one such report that is available. Another report would be day-wise attendance report in case you are using daily attendance. So you can check the overall strength on a particular date, which can be the current date or the past date as well. So it shows all the courses and the batches inside them and the absentees. So I'll select a particular course like this, and it shows me the batches and the absentees in that course. For example, for this course, it shows me the batch and the number of absentees. On clicking on the batch, I can further see the absentees. So this is the day-wise or the daily attendance report. So this is how we can mark the attendance and view the attendance related details. Now let's see how we can create events in the calendar. So we will go this option of calendar under academics, and the calendar will appear like this. You can scroll it to see it for another month. If you want to mark a day as a holiday, you can go to that cell and click on this option of add. So you will see this event creation form that appears. So for 1st of July, you can mention the title of the event, which can be a holiday. So let's say I'm marking this as a holiday event. You can give the name of the holiday as well, and you can mention the other details. You can check this option of is holiday if this event is not a normal event and is a holiday. And if this holiday is common to all, you can check this option of event common to all. Once you create it and you confirm this event, it will appear in the calendar of the concerned users. So now if you see the calendar for July 1, it shows it with a green label and it denotes the holiday event. You can also edit it or delete it at any point. So this is how you can create the holidays. To create a normal event, again go to the calendar and click on add and give the normal event name here and the details. And do not check the option of is holiday because it's a normal event. You can make this event common to all, or you can assign it to particular batch and teachers. So I'm not checking this option of event common to all. When I click on create event, it asks me to select the batch for which this event is applicable. So I'm selecting the batch like this. It can be one or more batches, and I have to save this. Similarly, I can select the teachers or the department of teachers from here who can participate in this event. And once I have done that, I can confirm this event. And only these associated batch and teachers will be able to see this event in their calendar and not all the batches and the teachers. So if I see for July 2nd, it shows me the event details like this. So this is how we can create the events and mark holidays. Examinations and dues will automatically come up. They cannot be created. So when you create an examination using the exam module, it will automatically show up like this. Similarly, the dues, which is the fee due or the library book due or the transport fee due, hostel fee due, will automatically appear here as per the due date that you have mentioned when you created the collection for them. So this is how we can we can set up the academic calendar of the institute. So these are the modules that we have covered today. Some other core modules we will be covering in the part 2 core modules webinar.